Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Leslie presents. And now your host, Paul Leslie.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to welcome our very special guest, Nana Mouskouri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me. That was really wonderful when I heard that you would like to talk to me.
Well, I can tell you it's very much an honor. Who is Nana Mouskouri?
At heart, a singer. And I became a singer because I was very shy and I was afraid. I'm a girl from the war. I was born very close to the Second World War. So I was very introverted, and the singing has started to help me to become, to be listened and to become somebody. So this is the Nana Mouskouri. I became the person I am from my songs, from my singing, and from the wish to try to find friendship, trying to find love, trying to find life, happiness, and get to know people, communicate. So this is Nana Mouskouri.
The songs that you have sung, the types of songs, have been everything from classical songs, songs for movies, Christian and religious songs, and folk songs. Is there a certain type of music that you find the most meaningful?
I think that music is really a big source of inspiration for me. And from the beginning, of course, I was brought up from the films that I used to see. My father was a projectionist, so I in a movie, and so I used to watch films, all sorts of films, and of course, one of the most important films that I saw as a young girl was The Wizard of Oz. So I became a sort of Dorothy. So you see, so I came to the world singing and trying to find if love exists. But so the music for me was one step at the beginning, was rather film songs from the movies. Then I tried to listen. I mean, I was listening around. There was Greek music at the time, popular music, in the late 40s, beginning of the 50s, excuse me. And so I came into that. But most of all, I was influenced by jazz. After the war, a lot of American music was playing around the world, and of course in Europe a lot. So the jazz was the first that influenced me. So I was copying Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, all the great singers of the time. But then I came into the Greek music, which was it was a modern music, very original, because it was the first time that this type of music existed in Greece, and it was a mixture of traditional and modern. It was influenced by the tradition and Byzantine music, but it was very modern, very inspired by a composer called Manos Hatsidakis and a writer, poet who was Nikos Datos. So that was the time I became a singer, and from then on, because I started to travel as well, invited to countries, I started to learn other styles of music, and for me was to go further, to learn more the styles of the music, than because, that was the only reason I wanted to learn, because if you don't learn, you go backwards. You cannot stand still. So by learning, I was going from one style to the other, and at the end, I became that sort of singer. So I cannot say that I'm this type of singer. It's this style I prefer. That depends from the song, the times we are living. It was quite normal to be influenced by Joan Baez, by Dylan, in the 60s, and the Beatles. But in the 50s, it was really much more Elvis Presley for me, that I would follow up. And the style of music, it was playing that. And, of course, Harry Belafonte. with his music, because I went on stage with him very early in my life. So these were influences for me very evident. And of course, afterwards I went into the country, because so interesting as music to sing country as well. So it was much more the feeling to learn and sing because I like it than because I thought it was another style. That it's the richness of the music that I was receiving from the styles that was interesting for me.
You mentioned Harry Belafonte. You recorded this album with him, An Evening with Belafonte and Mouskouri. What was the experience of making that album like?
I think Harry Belafonte was not only to sing live, it was really, first of all, I was really young at the time, and I did not have experience, especially on stage. And Harry Belafonte is one of the most extraordinary singers, artists, that on stage, his presence is magnificent, and also his ability to present the show, his experience, his grace, because he has a lot of taste. Everything is really with the way he does it, the way he approaches the audience, and the respect that he has for this and the people who come to listen to him. So that was a big school for me. But it was a big school as well to sing with him on stage. Is the importance that he phrases, the importance, the inspiration that he has when he sings, and how he uses his voice, how he stands, how following him, you learn, so much, and also the style of music he was singing, because up to this point, of course, I did sing my Mahalia Jackson songs and different other, like jazz singers, of course, as well, but also gospel. But with him, for instance, it was the folk gospel, because when I sang Wayfaring Stranger, he gave me the idea to sing that, you see. It was, you don't sing very easily, but you go directly to the school with Wayfaring Stranger, so Harry was the stage influence, and then Quincy, I think it was Quincy Jones, it was the most precious school as well as I had in the music and in the way you sing, the way you express, the way you do it right. Because if it's not real, he did not accept it, you see. He was always there, no, you have to convince me, And this is so important. You have to find a way to believe in what you're doing, so if not, you're not good, it was, as I said, of course, today, 25 years old, you're not very, very young, because the youngsters say they grow up faster, but for me, in these days, I was quite young and ready to learn. So I may say that I was really brought up in the United States somehow, because in 2 years, it was the 62 with Quincy and then 63 I started with Harry. It was, and for 2 or 3 years more, it was really a big time of schooling, for me. It was wonderful. Really.
What about the work you did with the French composer Michel Legrand?
Yes. That was, so I met Quincy Jones at the same time with Michel Legrand. So he was another school. And I must say that Manos Hadjidakis and Nicholas Gatos, as I said, it was my first Greek school. There I got my identity. So then I met Quincy and Michel Legrand. It was almost at the same time that I came first to the United States, and then for Quincy, and then I came back and started to be in the studio with Michel Legrand and do the Parapluie de Cherbourg, and then the duets I did with him, and some more work that because we worked a lot with Michel Legrand. So Michel Legrand is also as genius as my other friends that I named up to now. And Michel Legrand is also a great musician, very inspiring, and he is a great composer as well. And he was as important, in singing with him, because he's not an easy person. Okay, you sing, that's right. No, they get to the depth of the song, of the act that you have, and because they know that you have something, they come to you to get something out of you, and until they get what they want, they are very, very, very strong and very tough with you, and this is also what makes an artist to become what is. I think if I didn't go, if I didn't met these people at the beginning of my life, my career, let's say, I wouldn't be the singer that I became, after through the years. It was absolutely important for me to go through that, and I think that I was very lucky that so early, going out from Greece, I just almost searched to find something was in another style, of course, but it was similar of what I learned from my big friends in Greece. And it was very important. I didn't know what it was. I was singing, but I didn't know what was to be a singer. So I learned it at the same time as I was traveling from one country to the other, and especially meeting those wonderful people that I think that I wouldn't have existed as a singer if they were not there with me at a certain time. The influence for me, it was even from singers like Joan Baez, with her style, because she not only was a great singer, really, but also the material that she was singing was so important, and she even sang a lot of Mexican, traditional or South American songs. That I had other influences from the South American music and also from Spanish music. Let's say that I had influences also from the classics and certain singers. But she was there singing in English, of course, and then at the same time it was this flavor that it was Latin flavor, may I say. She was very important for me, also.
One of the interesting things is the number of songs you've recorded in different languages: Greek, French, English, German. What has it been like to reach people in so many different countries with your music?
Yes, I mean, when I started, for instance, the first time, I didn't mainly put in my mind, I will do that, so I will go there, I will do that, I go there. No, the first thing that happened was from Greece. When I received a call from Paris, in fact, that it was the general manager of the company, Philips at the time, Fontana, who was interested because in these days there was never a Saturday film like this, and some Greek music crossed the borders, let's say, and came to Europe somehow. So somebody, Monsieur Azan was his name, he asked me to come to Paris. So he wanted really to record me in Paris. And before I even do the recordings in Paris, I was invited in Germany. So he helped me to go to Germany because it was the same company anyway, because Manos Hadjidakis at the time, he did a film called Greece Land of Dreams, and I was the singer in it. I mean, it was not a film, it was just a documentary on Greece with beautiful pictures from the islands and the people, and there was a music and a voice. And the voice, I was lucky to be the one. I sang 5 songs in this documentary, And this documentary went to the Berlin Festspiele, and then they have chosen the company, one or two. I was invited, of course, in the evening of the festival, and they have chosen two songs that they wanted me to do in German. Of course, at the time I didn't speak German. But when they asked me if I could do it, as I was used to sing in English or French, and I didn't speak a lot of the languages at the time, but English and French and Italian, because my mother was from Corfu, but I liked the sounds, so I was used to the sounds. So I said, yes, of course. And of course, when you go to the conservatory, because I was lucky to go to conservatory there, with the opera, you get used to the languages, somehow, the sounds, because there are a lot of opera German. So I said yes. And I did the song, and within 8 months, it was #1 in the charts, the White Rose. That was the White Rose of Athens. So what happened, once this success was really so big and I did interviews and things, I felt that it was a shame that I couldn't address myself to the people, I couldn't speak their language, and yet I had this success. So I said it's to me, to do the effort to go to them, then they cannot learn my language. I have to learn my language, their language, in order to sing for them. So simply like that, I started to study German, and with the years, I learned, of course, to speak and everything. Also, I did a lot of things like this with the Italian. I used to speak a little bit, but I started to work more on that, more on the Spanish, more on the English, and then slowly it grew up to sing other languages, and it was because also that first of all I needed to. If you are successful somewhere, you have to try to learn the language of the country. And it's a gentle gesture also, but it was a satisfaction to learn something about the cultures, because with the music, you communicate in a different way with the people. There are no frontiers except of the respect for the music. That's the borders. It's respect to the music, to the audience, to yourself as well. So I continue, and I think this is why, like I said, it's like being a singer for me, it was not to be famous, but I was so lucky to work with some wonderful people and learn from other cultures, about the cultures, about to feel the cultures, to understand, and that was amazing for me. And I didn't force myself. It came naturally.
It's very interesting. It's been written that you've recorded over 1,500 songs.
Yes, I think it's close to 2,000, something like that. Yes, that I have.
About 450 albums, I've read.
Yes, but you have to think that it is 50 and so years, because I did my first record in Greece. It was in it was in 58. 1958, that was the Hatino to Fegeraki, which was a Greek song. A beautiful song that it became also as a symbol. It's a symbol for me because it's a very meaningful song, speaking about the truth, you see. So, and then since then, there were times, of course, at the beginning I did slowly the albums, but then there were years that because I was singing in languages, I had to do 3 albums, which means one was in English, one in German, one in Spanish. Then the other year I have to do the French, the Greek, and Portuguese, or that depends for the year. Sometimes I had to do every year a German album or an English album. So this is the reason why there are so many albums, because there are also the languages. And I remember when it was, I think, 84 or 85 when in the 80s anyway, when I did the Song for Liberty. Then I had to record. It was a big hit here in Europe, and I had to record 5 albums in 1 year because it was such a big hit that every country wanted its own album, and of course the language. And the idea to do in another country, you cannot always do the same songs that you did in French, let's say, to take them and do them in Spanish or in English. No, you have to. This for my producer André Chapelle was really so honest with it, because we had to find also something that fitted with the country. You know, not all the people have the same feeling for the same song. It can happen very often, especially with the Americans. You know, when it's in English, it can be the same song, success everywhere. But other languages, it does not happen so often. You know, so you have to work differently, and to find a song that fitted also for the temper, or let's say, of the feelings of another country, so this is why I did so many records. And of course I was very lucky, like I say, that I grew up as a singer and international as European, of course, not American, that they all sing in English and that's it. But for me, I couldn't do that. It won't work. I didn't dare to do just an English album in Germany. The only thing I could do was to put a certain English song in English, yes, but not the whole album. And this is why I have done so many albums. And I was influenced from many artists around the world. So this is why it's such an extent repertoire and the styles. And of course I did 2 or 3 albums in America, recorded over there. But of course a lot it was done in Germany, a lot in English, or in France, or in Spain.
I've read different reports, but it's been said that you sold a lot of albums. Do you know how many albums you have sold worldwide?
Well, I think they started to talk about 250 million, or I don't know, something like that. But then, you know, from mouth to mouth, sometimes it becomes 300. But I think it's rather, I mean, when they started 200, maybe it became 250. I don't know, something. I believe there has been a lot, and I tell you why. Because I started to, you know, my big time was the 70s. And I had many countries at the same time, and many languages, of course, already. And it was very big because the people, they were selling a lot of records. I had in Asia, in Australia, New Zealand, you know, in Canada, and of course in Europe, in Scandinavia. So when you think of all those countries at the big time when people used to buy a lot of records, you know, it's this is why they have sold a lot of records, because between the 70s and the 80s, the market was very, very big. So then it started to slow down. It was, for me, of course I enjoyed it when I heard about it, but you know, when you live and you travel and you sing and you do, I never thought of the records of selling, and I know I have a lot of golden and platinum at the time that they used to give us those type of records. But, you know, it was, I think it was the fact that I lasted such a long time on the record business. And I started at the beginning because, you know, the early 60s started really to be big in Europe, and then it grew up until the later on.
Tell us about the latest album of duets, Rendezvous.
Yes. in my life, I did a lot of duets. I mean, I started, like I say, with Harry. I did also lately. I did sing with other singers, many. But it was never, it was not like, I mean, when very big artists do a duet, there was a time that it was a big thing. Like, for instance, when Frank Sinatra started to do the duets, it was really huge, the appeal of this record. In fact, I have almost done a duet with Frank Sinatra, and the problem is that at the time, it was a time that they have started already to do by phone or telephone, or, you are in the studio, somebody in Los Angeles, and you are somewhere else, So, and I thought this was impossible, and I refused really to do it because I just wanted to be next to the artist. Because for me, when you sing, you have to share something with the artist. So I was so shy of doing that, and I didn't. But anyway, that's life. So it was a big, and then of course it dropped down a little bit. But lately, after I started 10 years ago, everybody does duets. Everywhere. The only person I didn't do yet, it was me. And last 2 years ago, it was last year, 2011. All of a sudden, because I was, I'm about 50 years with the same company, and last year they said, okay, what about doing a record with duets? So I said, okay, we would do that. Why not? I mean, and I started to call some friends, so some they were able to come, some they couldn't come, but so we did this album. But unfortunately, we didn't finish right because there were a few songs that I wanted to do and I couldn't do them. But anyway, the album was finished, and it was it went accepted very, very well. And then we did also a German version because we needed to have some German songs in it. And now we are working on the idea to have some more included, some more duets for English, not to be, because now it's not, it's mainly French at the beginning. It was mainly French. So again, the problem comes that in every market you have to have more songs of the language. So, and this is why it will be the third version that will do international. And we had a few songs there.
What do you want people to get from the experience of listening to your music?
I think with my songs, I think it's a question like the feeling that I have. When you sing a song, when you hear a song, it has to be a sort of healing, just to make you a little bit dream, to make a bit travel, just to be in another world and just understand that life may be hard, but it can be always better. I mean, it's just to give a hope. It's the hope that I have found myself in the songs, and this is the feeling that I would like for the people to have, that there is love somewhere, and you have to hope for this love. And love, it's not really only one person. It's everywhere. There are a lot of faces in love. And you can have love and you don't realize that it's there to help you. It's just very human, the humanity that I want to keep, like the one I get. And this is what I got from the audience as well. I sing my songs hoping that somebody will identify with this and in his own way and be happy. And this is because when they are happy, they give me also a lot of happiness. And that is what it is. I think the singing is a sort of it's not a destination to get to the destination. It's the voyage, it's that you do. It's the trip that you do that is important, because on this voyage, you just you cross roads and thorns and roses and things, but you meet friends also, and you meet also good things, and this is what is important after all to live, is to meet people, to give love, to receive love. This I did myself with my singing, but there are people who paint and do the same thing. There are people who write a book or a newspaper, and then there are a lot of ways of expression. I mean, you talk to the people on the radio is doing exactly what I do with my singing. It's a communication. It's an exchange of feelings. You share also, and they give you, by listening to you, it's the answer that you were right in what you do and the way you give it, and the real happiness, I think. It's invisible somehow, but it's there. My point when I speak about this journey is because on the journey you have to look around and you are inspired. So I was inspired from my friends, from simple people as well. Sometimes that they will ask me, why don't you sing this song? And then I would listen to the song, and if I like it, I say, okay, this is a good idea. Why not? I will sing it. This is an exchange in life. And also you have to trust people. It's very simple. I mean, when I hear a song, sometimes somebody say, if you sing this song, it will be a big hit. If I don't believe it, the song, I don't sing it, even if they promise me whatever they want, because it's not sure. Nobody knows what it is to have a hit. What you know is if you love it, and if you sing it the right way that you feel to sing it, then maybe somebody will listen, or maybe not. But this is a chance. This is the risk you get. But when it comes to satisfy people, it's such a reward, because you are also happy.
What is the best thing about being Nana Mouskouri?
I think the best thing that being me, I think when I was a young girl, I was wearing glasses, I was a big fat girl, I was somehow rejected somehow. And the best thing is that I always trusted myself, and I was trying to get better, though, to lose weight, to do something, but I started to do it for myself. But the only thing was the best thing for me was that I decided, so I am like this, I do what I can to be a little bit better, because you go on stage and you have to be good for the people, is to stay sincere and real, not to try to be, pretending being somebody else, pretending to be something that, to put up a face, let's say, to put up a stage person, because if you don't believe in what to do another person, it doesn't work. And me, I always wanted to be myself, and the people accepted me. So I think sincerity and honesty was, for me, the best thing to be Nana Mouskouri, because this is why I made so many friends, and they are still my friends, and I know they are around for me. It's because I'm very sincere, and they know I'm sincere to them, and I'm sincere with my songs and with my work.
If you could say one thing to our listeners all over the world, what would it be?
It would be one word: thank you for being so loyal to me all these years. And what the audience around the world has given me was so important, that brought me all through these years until today. And with this, I will go to another world one day. Whenever it happens, I will bring this love with me. And it's very sincere what I say. Because all over the world, sometimes less, like in the United States, I have less listeners following that I have, for instance, in Canada or in Korea or, or in some places. But it's the same everywhere, the same love that I receive, and this is a very sincere, honest loyalty that I really appreciate very much. And I must say that I know when they don't like a certain song, and I know why, which means that I learn also from the people what it is good and not good for me. So I learn from the failures, let's say. But I say thank you, and thank you it's really the biggest word that I can say to them. And of course to wish them health, to wish them health a lot. Yes.
I actually have one more question. You mentioned earlier how influenced you were by songs and movies. One of the songs you recorded is Over the Rainbow. What made you decide to record that song?
Over the Rainbow, it's a song that I was singing. As I said, I grew up in the cinema. It was the first song that influenced me. So when I was a little girl, I was going up the little stage of the cinema. My father used to work, and it was an open-air summer cinema in which, when it is warm, the weather, they are outdoors. It's not a drive-in. It's just a small garden with trees around. It was at the time, because now everything changes. And there was a small stage, and over that stage, I learned to sing Over the Rainbow. And when I asked it, without music, without nothing, and when I asked, my parents to try to explain to me, they couldn't speak English, so they went to a neighbor, so the neighbor explained me what it was. So I was going on stage, and all the time it was, if little birds can fly, why can't I? That was my symbolic, thing. So when I became a singer, it was still one of the songs that I was singing like a little girl would do, hoping that you would one day sing. This is why I say I call myself a singer for this reason. It was a dream to sing, but I didn't know professionally what it was singing. So when I went to New York, it was on the tape of that, because we did about 20 songs with Quincy Jones. It was in 1962. Can you imagine? 50 years ago. In New York, and in 42nd Street studio. The Phil Ramon was the engineer at the time of the studio. So I did about 20 songs, but there were only 12 songs that were on the record, because Quincy decided to have these songs. And Over the Rainbow was recorded, but it was stayed there with the small group. It was with a quartet that we did it. And it's a song that through the years I have been singing on my concerts all the time, because it comes a time at the end of the show, everything so wonderful, and I explained that my dream was to be up there on stage and sing like Dorothy. And through the years, I've learned from this song, and from the film, of course, with the three guys that were around with Dorothy. You remember, she had the dog, she had the strong man, the lion, and the Tin Man. You've seen the film, no?
Yes.
So all my life, at the beginning, I was trying to figure out why there were these three guys around her on the road, on the yellow brick road, that she was going to find love in life. So it became for me a sort of not only a symbol, but an aim in life. There are three things that you need to become, to be loved and to become somebody. And this was the heart that the lion needed, the brain that the Stroma needed if I only had the brain, and the courage that it's the Tin Man that needed the heart. Tin Man needed the heart, and the lion needed the courage, because you remember the lion was scared, so everything was trembling all the time. So,
right.
So somehow you understand that why this film, growing up, over the rainbow, it was my dream to sing like the birds, and then you have to have courage, you have to have the heart, not lose, and then you have to have a brain as well. You have to work right, and this is what I tried. And when I started to become known, and there was a lot of demand, and I had to go from one. I always said to myself, I should never lose my heart. I just should never lose my heart and my soul that I had when I was a young girl. And until today, I just have the same fears, anxieties, and when I go on stage, and every time it's a new moment. It's not, and I'm so careful about my notes, about what I will do, how I will sing, because all this have stayed to me like it's always an internal beginning, for me. And and also I think for me, when I was going on stage, it was also like a small psychoanalysis, let's say. I was singing to the people that were forgetting all my troubles. I put them on the side, and then without wanting, and because you are out there and you talk, you express yourself. It's what people missing in this world is to express themselves. And as I said, to express, you can make a beautiful cake. If you express, if you like to do that, or to cook, or to write, or to paint, or to make beautiful shoes, or to make beautiful gardens. I think this is the expression that people, when they do it the right way, if they believe in it, they are happy. So I became like Dorothy, the young girl that I was. Through my singing, I have found in this world what is love, what is loyalty, what it is also satisfaction that your work that you're doing, you respect, and they respect you for what you do. And it was also my singing that brought me closer to the children, and I work for UNICEF since 1993 now. And it's a great satisfaction to be able to help, to be there for people and do what you can to ease their pain, or to look after the future of the children, because they are the future of our world. So working with UNICEF was very rewarding for me as well. It helped my singing as well.
Well, I can tell you I very much enjoyed doing this interview. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much.
It's been an honor.